Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in for this session today, where we are going to talk about exploring emotional intelligence and logical reasoning using storytelling. I am Ambika Arunachalam, and I will be presenting the workshop for you along with my friend Divya Vijaykumar. It's been a great pleasure. It has been a wonderful journey preparing for this session. I am basically an engineer who is doing some freelance educational courses for children and also do adult trainings, both in the technical and the soft skill point of view. And my best parts are logical reasoning. And I have started getting myself into the emotional intelligence part also, doing some research, trying to write a book about it. And so I'm here presenting you about exploring the emotional intelligence and the logical reasoning using storytelling. I would start sharing my screen and also share you a small social experiment to start with. This social experiment was conducted in 2007 in Washington, D.C., where the famous violinist Joshua Bell was asked to play his concert performance in the subway of Washington, D.C. The experiment was that he has to play and they were to observe how many people actually stood there and watched the performance. Joshua Bell is a famous violinist where his concerts get sold out overnight. But when he was playing on the subway, very surprisingly, there were only 7 people who really stood and listened it. Only one of them kind of recognized Bell. Even when the kids were like attentively drawn to his music, the parents were busy and were like nudging them and pulling out them to continue with their day's work. The point that I'm trying to get out of this social experiment is that there is beauty out there lying around, and it's just that we don't have time or we don't have a reflective quality to, just notice and reflect on it. The aim of this workshop is also to enlighten one such beautiful talent that each one of us hold. So without much ado, I want to, scroll through and get into the workshop and, talk about what we really have for today. I'm going to have a small set of activities here and there. To begin with, we'll have a prologue activity. We'll talk about logic behind emotions, emotions behind logic, and talk about the connection between logic, emotion, and stories. I have a couple of stories. Divya also would be presenting one story. And here we are, the first activity that, to begin with, I would rather like you to say hello to Reflecto. He's the reflection assistant. He will help us reflect on the thoughts and ideas that we are going to talk about now. So we'll quickly take some time to think about and talk, or just come out with what you think is emotional intelligence and what you think is a logical reasoning in your own words, or in a couple of words or a sentence. Feel free to speak up or just type in the Zoom, and that way we can kind of interact and try to understand each other's thoughts and ideas about what is logical reasoning and what is emotional intelligence. Any thoughts? Just your idea of what is emotional intelligence. What do you think, according to you, is emotional intelligence? When do you consider a person having a good reasoning? When you consider that he's emotionally intelligent? What is that one word that will define that? Yes, Veena, please go ahead. Veena, you're on mute.
Because you said one word. Emotional intelligence comes from the heart. Logical reasoning head.
Okay.
There is structure, there is a set of steps, uh, there is there is yes, before, after, middle, and all those kind of things in logical reasoning. But in emotion, yes, you have empathy, you have fear, you have love, and all those kind of things from the heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha. Thanks. So we have some logic analysis, explanation, feelings, understanding the feeling of yours and others. Good, nice, nice thought. We are all on the same page on what it is, right? So I just thought I'll summarize a little bit with a word cloud. On the left, we have the emotionally intelligent words like empathy, emotions, some of which we discussed right now. And down here, we have logical reasoning, which means you use your knowledge, your memory, your brain, as Veena suggested, and then it's a thinking process and perception, like all the wonderful replies that we got. So emotional intelligence is understanding everyone, including yourself. So we get into this introspection mode, while logical reason is understanding everything. You get into the why, what, and how of things. You get in this questioning mode or the interrogative mode. Having said that, let's compare emotions to colors. This is one wonderful comparison I always love to make. Of course, emotions add so much color to our life. I mean, I think we all will agree on it. We can actually compare the color palette and the emotional palette. Um, so, uh, so here, our reflector here wants us to just think about the emotion that we are feeling right now. So you can just go ahead and do what reflector is also asking you to do in that thinking box. But then, yeah, let's just keep proceeding. So I have some few pictures where, once again, few pictures where the colors can be, we can compare the colors with emotion. Like the point that I want to make here is like how the primary colors are not just the important colors. There are more hues and flavors to the emotions that we feel, right? Like how we have like so much on the color plate. There is so much to intensity and so much variations on the emotional palette also. Like, for example, um, right here, confusion, being confused and being amazed. Both of them kind of map to be surprised. So on the big cloud of surprise, we have many flavors to it, like the different hues of colors. We have different flavors of emotions also. That's one reason I love to, compare the emotions and the colors. And we complement our emotions with the person we are currently interacting with or like we are living with. So it's more of a lot of comparison, right? And I would like to just go with the action behind the emotion part of it. So I will just reason on the intense emotion that I'm currently feeling, right? When I actually wanted to do this workshop, of course, I felt very optimistic, very confident. And this whole learning that I had through this workshop is enormous. It just is a happy feeling. But when it has to be presented, there is definitely a bit of anxiousness and nervousness that gets associated with it. But I have kind of understood the logic behind it and decided to come into, in terms with my emotion, trust this process and come up and present here. So that's the kind of logic that we can derive behind all our emotions. The thing that I would request you to do right now is just think about the most intense emotion that you felt recently, probably today or yesterday. We have lots of ups and downs happening in our life, right? So just take some time to reflect on what happened and why did we feel that emotion. Um, any intense emotion could be an anger, could be the extreme happiness. The intensity here is about the extent of how we felt about it, not about the negativity or the positivity associated with it. Emotion has a quite amount of intensity to it. And if we could just think about few moments of what you felt, and then thanks, Veena. Yeah, I'm slowing down. Yes. So Dada has not only understanding the feelings of others, but also ability to help others. Yes. Yes. Sure, Divya and Veena. Yeah. So take some time, like how I kind of reason on my emotion of trust, uh, that ability to, uh, come out and do this workshop behind my optimistic and also my nervous thing. Feeling of joy over friends' achievement. Yes. Yes, that is kind of getting into your empathetic roots, making the emotion of others and connecting with it when your friend actually achieves something and you being the whole part of it. So if you, yes, it's kind of stayed with me for a couple of days. Nice to know, Sharanya. Nice. And it's always easier to embrace and just go with the like the positive emotions. It's easier, right? um, uh, Went through different emotions recently when I did a workshop at corporate. Was confident initially, and then yes, I can absolutely reflect on you, Rohini, where you've mentioned about the confidence and the anxiety. Yes, and then we accept to the the flow of this whole system, and then kind of do it with a confident mode. Absolutely, Rohini, that kind of connects. Does joy and happiness stay longer than negative? No, it's not that it stays longer. It's just that those feelings is something that you would go back and reflect. Like you don't go reflect back on your negative feelings frequently. The joy feelings are something that we reflect frequently, and that kind of virtually makes us feel that we stay happy more longer time. So yeah. Uh, anybody else wants to speak about your reasoning behind the emotions? Extreme sadness. Yes. uh, uh, I'm just looking more into this particular thing that Veena has mentioned, where that loss feeling is something very unique. It's something very unique to every individual who's actually facing the same loss. It connects with all the experience that we had with the person and many more stuff. So that loss feeling is such a unique emotion. It itself is it's a separate topic to be discussed and like analyzed. I would say that it kind of doesn't get into the bigger umbrella where you can, just generalize things. That's a very unique emotion. Um, so a few days back when I want to handle a training. Oh, looks like there are a lot of trainers in this batch. Good to have you all. So yeah, anxiety, yes. And I keep telling my younger son, he's an anxious person. I keep telling him whenever he wants to present something and he's anxious, I keep telling him anxiety is good. That it will keep you on your toes and make sure that your preparation is well done. So that is like emotion behind the logic, right? To do things right, you need certain emotions. You need to embrace it. You should acknowledge that you're anxious. That would just mean that little more preparation is needed. And then starting there, your anxiety is going to go down, obviously, and you are more well prepared there. So the point is to embrace every emotion. Anybody more? Are we done with this discussion? Any more questions? Any more sharing that you want to do? Okay, so let's just move on to two story case studies that we have here. Let's go one by one here. We actually wanted to do a breakout room at this point, but we'll just go by one and take it on the message, right? So here, this person, Nila, has got a dream project. She's actually working on a beautiful website, which needs a lot of creativity, but she has a deadline. She has a deadline to stick to, and she feels that pressure is kind of killing her creativity and her ability to work. So can we suggest ways where her anxiety or her inability to do is blocking her progress? And what are the ways or means will you suggest if Nila comes to you with this problem? Let's just quickly discuss on what suggestions you will give Nila to emotionally handle and logically solve the scenario that she's put herself into. So the best way to do these kind of story related case study is just connecting to it, just trying to find a scenario empathetically where if I had been doing it, what I would have done. That's probably the way to start with it. Like how one of our participant mentioned that she was joyous about her friend's success, right? So yeah. Any thoughts, any suggestions for Nila?
I think the first thing is to validate what she feels. Half of the time, as adults, we have kept standards for ourselves and for others in our world, and we don't acknowledge it. So I would say validate it.
Okay, right. Validate it and accept it to an extent where, there is a problem. And then how do you handle it? Yes, put her priorities in place, break down the project into small, doable pieces, put a pen and paper and set out a timetable. Nila is nervous. She feels she needs more time. She needs to relax and focus on the time available. That's amazing. That is one nice suggestion there. I was also change the mindset and consider the opportunity to work under time available. I was also like when I was looking into this use case, I was also thinking about getting back to the person who gave the project to her, talk them out to really understand if she can extend it a little bit so that in real time she can also reduce the anxiety by getting that feel that she really got the time she wanted to get, like basically going back to the person and confronting it. That was one thing I was also thinking.
I resonated with somebody a few moments ago said, break it down into small parts.
Yes.
I have found that when I have a big project to do, I may be overwhelmed by it, and I kind of lock down and say, I can't do it. I won't do it. But I find that my mind starts thinking about it automatically. And if I just let my mind do it and jot down notes, I'd find that somehow automatically things happen.
Yes. Thanks, Eric. That's absolutely what is the connection between the emotional intelligence, like understanding that I'm overwhelmed and making my brain realize that it has to reason out. There is some logic behind my emotion. There is a reason for overwhelmed because I think the task is bigger. So there is a need to break it down. Like that's kind of the reasoning that goes behind that emotion. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. That was like a wonderful conversation.
Yeah,
Thank
I think one more thing Neela can do is, since this website is for the Children's Cultural Center, she should actually visit that cultural center so she can come out of that problem zone,
Yes,
yeah, and have that creative mind flowing, yeah.
yes.
So
Nice. Thanks, Pravin. That's a good suggestion. Yeah, I mean, although it might sound like it's away from acknowledging your emotion, it is like just trying to prioritize your thing. Just make yourself understand how important is the work that you're doing. Thanks, Pravin. Thanks. Uh, so, yeah. Nice, wonderful thoughts. Like the basic idea is to make sure you acknowledge, you understand that the task has to be broken down and it has to be focusedly handled one by one. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Let's probably move on to the next use case where Dev and Raj are two friends. They have decided to help each other in reviewing a writing project that they have been individually doing. So they do take time to read each other's notes and ready with a comment. But Dev is good. I mean, like in the sense, Dev kind of puts words in a pleasant way, while Raj is blunt about the review comments. Why would you do that? You know, those kind of stuff. And Dev, being that softer guy or whatever, he kind of finds it difficult to cope with it. So they both of them see a light of and a bit of strain in their friendship. So, what are the ways do you suggest Dev and Raj should handle this scenario, making sure that this project is not straining the friendship, and also that that work is done. Like basically, they need some real reviewers. It's not that Raj blends comments are uh, difficult to handle. It's just that Dave is so soft that he feels it could be more, oiled out and like put out in a very nice way and all that stuff. So, what are the suggestions that you would give Dev and Raj to handle the strain in a very smoother way?
Well, Raj needs training in coaching, in giving feedback. You know, the first idea with giving feedback is first you have to make the person feel comfortable. The person should not feel attacked. They should not feel you're picking them apart. So it's best to first say something that you like about the work, and then bring up something that maybe could be improved. So Raj needs training.
Training. All right, Eric. Yeah.
And since they are friends, they can have an open communication, like they can speak about this is what I'm feeling, the way you are presenting, I'm feeling like this. So there should be an open communication instead of, interpreting in our own ways according to our thought process or our emotion at that point in time. It is always good to have an open communication and express.
Absolutely, Rohini. Yes, I am a person who thinks any problem can be solved over a conversation.
Yes.
Yes,
And
Rohini, I also, Ambika, I also agree with Rohini because to communicate openly, to talk to each other about the issues, concerns, and feelings, be honest,
yes,
transparent, and respectful instead of just keeping it in your mind.
keeping it to yourself. Yes. Yes. And do you identify that one emotion or one intelligence that they both have to follow? Emotional intelligence, part of an emotional intelligence, that particular emotional intelligent part that
Is
do you
it the coping up?
I was thinking the empathy, just trying to identify that Dave is feeling off
Yeah.
once the comment is given, and that trying to understand each other's emotion, especially the ones that you are dearly with, right? Just following their emotions that helps. I mean, apparently, end of the day, it helps you also when you're following the emotions of the people around you.
And to me personally, I feel like, for example, if you know that person pretty well, how he is when it comes to work, some people might be very strict with regard to terms and all, but within heart, they're very good. So I take that criticism as an opportunity and I take it, okay, fine. I need still, I have to work hard on this particular part. That is how I perceive it because Dev is my friend and Raj is my friend. I know how he is. If I know how he is, what kind of a person he is, so even if he's very blunt with me with regard to work, I don't get hurt. That is, it is completely subjective again, but this is how I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's fair enough, Rohini. I mean, sounds fair.
Yeah, I think it does differ from person to person. And if we are good friends, I think we need to give each other space and time to recharge. Take breaks from the project to relax and refocus once again. Because in that mood, it will be difficult to work immediately. Just to focus on it. And I think then you refocus again much
Again.
better.
Yes, makes sounds good there. And somebody has suggested that Dave should set a clear boundary between friendship and work. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. Arguing back, my mom used to say that, just don't make work relationship with the friends. That's the old way of looking at it as well, right? Gomati, you have something to ask or something to say?
Yes, ma'am. I just want to put a slightly different perspective to the podium here. Like how Rohini ma'am was saying, because they both are friends, Dave exactly knows from where Raj is coming. I agree that Raj also needs certain communication training, but if we know that the other person is right with their feedback and where they're coming from, I think it would be good also for Dave to toughen up.
Yeah, fine.
Because
Okay.
all are going to be easy on
Yeah.
us, right?
Yeah, the Raj has to, soften up a little bit. Dev has to toughen up a little bit. Yes, that's how it works, right? And generally, between the partners, it's generally that one of them is softer and another one is so blunt. That's kind of my observation, worldly observation here. So this is the general pair that really works out, like how we say opposite poles attract and all that,
Yes.
right? Yes, thank you. Thanks, Gomati. Thanks for bringing that up. If you have a friend aware of the basic personality, so you not take it negatively. I think that's the like the general opinion about how Dev and Raj, right? Not to take it personally and try to handle it just the review comments as is. Yes, the empathy and respect. That is something that is needed between all the emotions, every relationship, right? That's a good place to start with. Like just being respectful of anyone it is. Doesn't matter if it's your parent or your kid, right? Your creation or your creator. Whoever it is, that respect and empathy just puts everything in perspective. Thank you, everyone. Had a lovely discussion of both the case studies. I got a lot of more views than I actually thought about when I actually created these use cases. So just moving on, a simple question. So do you see anything more than or anything other than the branches in the tree?
I see leaves at the tips.
Okay. Anything more?
The tree is getting extended actually. We can see it grow.
Grow. Okay. So I see ear shape. Okay, Alien.
It looks like brain to me.
Brain.
I
Seems
see
like
bird
bird.
shapes.
Shape of a bird.
Bird shapes.
Yeah, birds.
Yes, there are birds. There are birds in it. So yes, the next question, the same tree. How many birds can you spot in the tree?
Three,
Birds, spotting a bird.
About
6.
Really? Oh my God. Actually, according to the thing,
Yeah.
5 birds.
1, 2, 3,
Seven, I
4,
7? Okay.
5,
5. 5.
5.
5.
1.
Yeah.
I see 6 or 7.
Really nice. That is nice.
6, I would say. The one on the left.
Okay.
The lower one on the left. Above that is also one more, but it's inverted, I think so.
So the point here that we are trying to make is logical reasoning is seeing beyond the obvious. What might seem like a tree, like we were able to see birds in it, that's the absolute logical reasoning power that you hold. It's just about training your brain to do that. And then the logical reasoning is actually seeing beyond the obvious. With that being said, we have a wonderful story that's going to be presented by Divya. Divya, over to you for this nice story here.
Hello, everyone. So I would like to spotlight myself so that it'll be easier. Yes. Can you actually see me? Am I spotlighted?
Yes, Divya.
Yes, Ambi?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, myself, Divya Vijay Kumar. So I'm here to assist Ambika and presenting you a story as a case study that will be aligned with this workshop. So here goes the story. The father, son, and a goat. So once upon a time, in a quiet little village, there was a man who lived with his son. They had a very small house, a little farmland, and a goat that the man will always take good care of. But actually, the man was always angry, quick to scold for everything. The man will always scold the boy, and the boy doesn't know why the father scolds him. The boy would never think about it. Instead, he just kept working. So every day morning, the man will wake up early and he will feed the goat with fresh green leaves. He would actually speak to the goat with a kind voice and also pat the goat gently with all the soft nature. He will take care of the goat, which he will never show to his son. Meanwhile, this boy who is actually studying in a high school will sit outside with his books open and he'll quietly study. So this was the routine between the father, son, and the goat. One day, the boy woke up late, missing his early hours, which he usually spent on his studies. So by the time the boy was ready, the man was already up and he fed the goat with the fresh green leaves as usual. You couldn't wake up early? You can't do this? You will never achieve anything, he shouted. The boy will not argue. He just nodded his head. He went back to his work. Every time when he gets scolding, he does the same action, nodded his head, and goes back to his work. And one day, the boy was studying harder with his physics. The law of inertia, the law of inertia, the law of inertia. He was actually trying harder to get the concept. Why is it so difficult? Why am I not getting this concept? The boy was actually muttering to himself in frustration. He couldn't get the concept. At the same time, the man walked past and he heard the boy in frustration. Still struggling with the same concept? Such an easy thing. You can't grasp the basics. How will you succeed? He shouted. The boy, as usual, he nodded and he kept trying again and again, trying harder to understand the concepts. And another time, one fine evening, the boy was solving a math problem and he thought he actually figured it out. So he wanted to show to his father, Father, look, I have solved this critical problem. It's so difficult, he said. The man looked at that very briefly. He glanced at it and he shouted, This is a silly mistake. You can't even do this. Don't waste your time. You better don't study, he shouted. The boy, as usual, he nodded and went back to his desk. So the days went by, the weeks turned into months, but the boy continued his studies harder day by day. No matter how many times he gets scolding from his father, the boy kept working. He was working for his own future. Then, one fine day came. Everything changed. The boy, who is a young man now, he came running to his home with an envelope in his hand. His heart was racing faster as he tore it open. He read the letter. I got it! He shouted in disbelief. I got a seat in a reputed medical college. He was jumping in joy. The man who was working in the field came to see why the boy was shouting, and he was looking at the letter he was holding. The boy handed the letter to him. The man opened and read it slowly. For a few moments, the man said nothing. It was a silence. The boy stood still, waiting there. What will be the response? And you know what? The man said, You have done well. In a voice, in a tone the boy had never heard before from his father. That evening, the man sharpened his knife and he led the goat forward, which was fed with fresh green leaves and was taken good care of. The boy watched this in confusion. What are you doing? He asked. Well, we must celebrate, my dear son. The goat has been well fed and taken good care of. Now it will serve its purpose, he said. Saying this, the man went for the preparation. The boy waiting until then. And that night, they sat together and enjoyed that wonderful feast. So, what's with this story? Over to you, dear audience.
Thank you, Divya, for the wonderful narration. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, can you see my screen shared?
I'll actually spotlight you. Yes.
Yes, and my screen, do you see it still? No.
No, it's black.
Okay, I'll stop it and reshare. Just give me 1 minute. Yes, I hope you see it now.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So let's slaughter the story a little bit, like the man slaughtered the goat, right? So it started all with where the master feeds and treats the goat better than his son, basically. He was never pleased with the son and kept scolding, right? The goat is so happy and proud of himself. Just watch that. We are talking about the emotions and the actions, right? The boy feels sad and wants to do more better. Day goes by, the boy does well in life. Man kills the goat, and it's healthy, right? Goat, because he fed him with fresh food and little more of love, right? So both the man and boy are happy at the end, right? But it's been a kind of a dead end for the goat, yes. But the thing that we want to do right now is reflect on the man's emotion behind his act, right? He really loved his boy, definitely, yes. But why was the anger manifested? Why was the anger manifested? Why did he feel that the boy felt that the dad was always scolding him? There was definitely anger manifested from the man towards the boy. Let's just focus on that first and try to find the emotion behind his action, basically the logic behind his action. Do you agree with the emotion that the man displayed? And what are your thoughts on why the man was hard on the boy? Yes, Lakshmi.
Yeah, I think it's basically a parental emotion where you feel that you give too much love or too much thing to a child and you're not being firm with him. He's not going to go out of hand. That's a normal parental feeling, which is very strong in most people.
Yes, but do you think it's to be normalized, Lakshmi? It is a parental emotion, agreed.
Yeah.
But I personally would feel that's not something to be normalized, right? Letting aside our personal opinion, can you term the emotion that the man had? Because we are talking about that particular emotion, right?
Okay.
Um,
It is love, actually.
it is love.
It is
Okay.
love, yeah.
Nice, Lakshmi. So anybody else has a different opinion, or like, do you want to add on to Lakshmi's thoughts?
Sometimes we might not be able to express the emotions which we have not felt.
Okay. Okay.
Probably they will be hidden somewhere in the subconscious, but we tend to lose the method or mode of expression.
Yes. And
So I'm feeling
that is called like embracing your emotion, right? Like try to understand what is with you, and then try to, put it out in not affecting the other person in hand, right?
Mm.
Yes. Yes. Well said point, Rokini. Yes.
Ego based basically as well.
I'm sorry, Anu.
Ego based as well.
Ego, yeah, ego could be one reason. Yes, ego. That's I think sounds similar to what Lakshmi also said. Like it kind of can be called as parental ego, right? That self-image that we develop as a parent, and we stick to it, where we kind of have a set of norms and rules that we set to ourselves, saying that I am not supposed to show so much of love to my kid, and then it might be getting quiet, right? Yes, I can see one hand up. Yes, Priyanka.
Hello.
Yes.
I feel between carrot and stick approach, he's choosing the stick and he's scolding. So there are expectations which he's showing not by pamper or pat on the back, but by using a stick approach.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
lucky that it worked for him, but I really don't approve of this.
Yes, he's lucky because he really had an obedient son, and that son kind of abided with that emotion and he flew with it, right? Especially this generation kids really don't appreciate such a treatment, right? Yeah. So do you, I mean, like we'll get specific to the name of the emotion, the emotion that is actually being displayed there. Like what is the emotion that the man was holding? Every goat believes it's butcher, but it's different. It does not apply Gen Z. That is right. Very true. Very true, Shah. Yes.
Disappointment.
Disappointment. Okay. Yeah. Disappointment.
Lack of empathy.
Lack of empathy. Yes, absolutely. He could have connected with his son a little more, right? Try to understand how he feels. Yes, absolutely. Any other word you want to add to it? Any other emotional were you able to connect to the story? The story was connectable for you? Did you get associated to it in some means?
Yes.
Yes, Priyanka. Thank you.
Was the man really scared about his son's future? Was scared, being scared as an emotion?
Yeah,
insecure.
Insecure. Yes, that's exactly. Yes, anxious.
Yeah.
So
I
anxiety.
also had a thought. I had a feeling that he felt one thing, communicated another. Like maybe
Yes.
he saw hope in his boy, but he didn't want to, like how that other speaker Priyanka said. Instead of pampering, he showed another method. But I felt there could be a contradiction to what he felt and what he did.
Yes. It's mostly the anxiety, right? Like the feeling of what is going to happen, right? Yes. Anybody wants to add more to it?
I felt the father was very judgmental about the actions of his own son.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes. Yes. Basically, he was not empathetic with his son, right? He didn't display that emotional intelligence that he could have. Yes, he was judgmental. Yes.
No, we are all discussing the father's emotions, but none of us are discussing the son's emotion.
Yeah, I'm about to say that actually.
Yeah. So
I'm just looking at that blue.
Are the
boy
people
feels
on
sad.
this panel mostly around a little younger than me? I think we are all, responding from how our mind thinks. Nobody's. I think we don't have the empathy to put ourselves in the position of that
That's
son.
why this workshop was called for adults.
I'm actually so scared when I'm looking at that man's emotion. I'm so scared. because this shouldn't be there, right? So I was just looking at the blue color box when Ambika would share it. Boy feels sad and craves to do better. How is it possible? I'm just looking at that.
There was a generation which did that, right? Like, forget about this current generation. That was a generation which did that, but they crave to do better because they had their own priorities. It's not, there was not an interleaved emotional intelligence that used to play inside the family, like 2 or 3 generations back, right?
But
It's
like, sorry to interrupt, but the boy, though he got a seat in his medicine and all, but he holds these emotions so much even in his adult life that
yes.
becomes so painful. I'm feeling so sad for that.
True, true. Unless until the boy specifically develops, aspiration or he works on his emotional intelligence, he's
Yes,
going to carry it over generations.
yes, true.
Yes, yeah. I think we are getting to that point, just where the importance of emotional intelligence and
Yeah, because the
and
I would
father,
also
sorry.
yes, go ahead.
I would also like to add that lack of emotional or ignorance, right? Supporting people emotionally, or
Yes.
developing, giving them an overall development. I mean, so that the lack that parents have, like they're not they're not ready to be parents because nobody teaches them certain life skills. How to raise children without. So yeah, that leaves the child with a lot of other problems. Probably we know even from that generation, we have people who are probably successful to the outside world, but are, shambles from inside and pass on probably the trauma effect. So yeah, I would say it is also a lack or ignorance
Yes.
in the area of, yeah.
Yes, yes. I can feel the heaviness of Sun's heart. Yeah, definitely, Priyanka. Yes, thanks for everyone to bring in the boys' emotion also as a part of the discussion.
Ambi, I would like to say something. Can you please tell from which year you took this story? That will actually make them to understand the generation gap.
Oh yeah, yeah. So this was a Tamil story from my 7th or 8th grade. I don't remember if these were 2 different stories and I combined it, or like if that really was 2 men in the story being neighbors. I don't remember that actuals, but this emotional that argumentative emotional that is displayed in the story kind of stuck with me. I think I was in the middle school or probably in my 9th grade, not more than that. So that's where I picked up the story. I don't remember the background of the story, but this emotional play inside this, the goat and the boy being treated differently kind of stayed with me. And that's where I picked it. Thank you, Divya.
Yeah, but I think it's quite relevant today also. We are saying that is this generation, that generation, but in today's generation also there are different social strata. So we still hear of 10th standard kids, committing suicide because they can't take the,
Pressure.
emotional this thing of. So I think it doesn't really matter if it is today's story or yesterday's story. It's a
Yeah.
common thing which happens.
And to add to it, it's not just about seeing the boy and the sun, right? We cause around us, we cause so many damages without even realizing it, right? Like it's not just about the family relationship. It could be in the friends relationship. We really don't realize it unless until it's brought about in conversation,
Yeah.
and explicitly putting in the reasoning behind the emotions, trying to understand, like even if you are being in the boy's end, just trying to understand that the dad is anxious, and just getting on with it and trying to just get them out of that emotion by some means, like conversation. There are so many means that are readily available, easily available. We are going to talk about all that. So basically it's just not about the son, and I just bought this man and this boy because we just have this empowerment as a parent to do anything on the kids emotion. That's where this comes in. But even if we are on the peer section, we as humans, it is normal that we tend to tamper with each other's emotion, right? But we just have to employ the logical reasoning in the right places, just deploy emotional intelligence, and then try to, keep the things intact. I like the way you woven it all together. Thank you. Thanks, Gomati. Yes, that is definitely one. Yes, definitely, Gomati. Parents' emotional instability is something that has to be taken care. As somebody pointed out, there is no particular school where you go learn parenting. It's something as a skill that we develop, bringing up our kids, right? People make themselves so unapproachable, assuming they are motivating. Yes, that's a good point, Priyanka. That is a very nice point. That is a good point. Yeah. Thank you. If there is not much to be discussed on this story, we'll just move ahead. And thank you for all the amazing, invaluable comments. Thank you. So we'll just quickly see the kind of connection logic, emotion, and story has, right? So here, everyone has a story. Yes, everyone has a story. And then every story has an emotion. And every emotion has a logic to it. There are ways to look at it, like every story has a logic, and every logic leads to emotion. Either way, we are the stories, emotions, and humans, and highly coupled. It's greatly coupled that our stories are generally governed by the culture and the environment that we are brought up in, right? The tradition that we follow. We are influenced by the peers, right? The environment, the experience that we get as a person. And human stories are always fueled by passion and purpose, and that's what gets us going. And here, the emotion and logic becomes like the intangible part of every story that we hear, right? Yes. So that's one thing I wanted to bring out. And it brings us to another story that I would be presenting right now. So this is a story about a road trip of a small nuclear family of Rupa and Suresh. I hope everybody can connect to this, this concept of going on a road trip, right? So this family, this budding family, consisting of Rupa, Suresh, and their little boys, Sugan and Ilan, decided to go on a road trip. Next day was the day they were starting. So Rupa kind of encouraged the boys to pack their bags by themselves. So the boys spent a lot of hours asking questions and discussing what is that you have to pack, where are they going, and all that. The trip had a water theme park as a part of the trip, and so the boys were so excited about the trip. So they packed all their water needs. They had their goggles, the cap, and then so much excitement. And then they went for the sleep. The next day, it dawned with more excitement. They still kept packing things, and Rupa did not want to, just plug out their enthusiasm. So she let them kind of go with their flow. They were keep on packing like papers, pens, sponge balls, if they had to play and all that stuff. So they were supposed to start at 4. The road trip had like 6 to 7 hours of drive each way. Rupa was worried how the boys will be keeping up on it, right? Like boys are boys, you can't make them sit in the place. So she was trying to, anticipate what all is going to happen. And then the plan was to start at 4 p.m., just go for a few hours, take a break, and then continue the journey when it really gets dark. So the time was there. They all packed and loaded everything into the car, started so excited, so happy, only for an hour. After an hour, it was Elon who first posted. So how long are we going to go? And then Rupa kind of deducted that it's heading nowhere. And Rupa suggested boys to play some word games like the word building, atlas. I'm sure all of us used to do that during our non-movable scenarios, right? Like in marriages, during road trips and all that. So the boys kind of started doing it. It was getting noisier and noisier. It was Suresh who was driving them, and it was getting little difficult on him. And it felt like Suresh needed a pit stop. So they kind of landed in the service area, and these discussions were still going. And Rupa requested the boys to stop the game, and they discussed about what they are going to do in the next couple of days. They were so excited. The excitement was no less, but Suresh was tired. He requested the boys not to make so much noise. And on the conversation, that they decided that the mom will give some puzzles, and that will keep the boys engaged. It was agreed upon, and once they restarted, it was time for the puzzles. So Rupa decided to ask them a mathematical puzzle, telling them to do using 4 9s. She wanted them to do 100, like basically use only 4 9s. Rupa was telling, use 4 9s, you can add, subtract, multiply, but end of it, use only 4 9s and make 100. So this got the boys engaged, right? There was some kind of quietness. They were engaged with their paper and pen, trying and working it out. And then after a few minutes of 15 to 20 minutes passed of quietness, Suresh was super happy. And then they kind of gave up. And mom just let out the answer saying 99 plus 9 by 9. And immediately the elder son Sugan was like, oh, this was so obvious. How did I miss it? Right? And Rupa took this opportunity to explain to him that logical reasoning questions are actually very easy. It's just that we have to train our brain, and that it's just like looking beyond the obvious, right? You just have to work it out. Like you keep training yourself on it, you are on it, right? And whenever you get the answer for it, it is always that wow feeling. And yes, the boys agreed on it, and they continued for another 10 minutes where boys were trying to come up with questions because Rupa wanted some rest, and she was trying to find out some questions from internet to keep the boys engaged. And boys were excitedly coming with questions which were kind of wrong, sometimes right, and and things were going on until the noise was kind of picking up. And so it was time for the next question to be out. So mom put out a question saying there are 3 lights in a room, 3 switches in another room. So a person cannot move from the switch room to the light room. He can go only once, and he has to find which light corresponds to which switch. And immediately the little son was like jumpy, and he said, what kind of setup is it? Who will put switch in one room and lights in another room? Yeah, Rupa agreed, and she said, forget about the constraints, try to work it out. It is a fun question. And then boys kind of worked through it. And then they just discussed. They said, I will stand in the switch room, you go to the light room. And then Rupa rejected all that. She said each one solved their own problem, right? And then it was time for mom to get the answer out, right? She said logical reason questions have patterns, so you're just trying to get a pattern out of it, right? So the answer was such that you switch on one light for 5 to 10 minutes, switch it off, switch on the switch 2, right? And then go to the room which has the light. The bulb that is on is the switch 2. The bulb that is warm, was switched on for 10 minutes, is the switch 1. And the one that is cold is actually switch 3. And Suresh kind of acknowledged that although the question looked very illogical, the answer seems good. And just before he completed his sentence, they started hearing thudding sound, loud thudding noise. They decided, oh no, we are done for the day. I think the tire is flat. So they kind of took some time to pull over and get into the service lane. They got down, looked around the tires, looked around the clearance. Everything seemed good. There was no reason that there has to be a thudding noise. So thinking that it's something on the road, they restarted the car and it became more intense. It started to creep out for everyone. Rupa, who was sitting on the front seat, kind of extended her arms back and made sure the boys felt comfortable. She was emotionally trying to support the boys. They decided to exit to the next town from the highway to see the mechanic so that they can figure out what's the problem. The moment they turned left and started going into the town in a slower speed, the thudding noise lowered and it kind of disappeared. They didn't, but Suresh didn't want to accept that it was nothing, right? But they had no choice. They had a road to catch. So they took a U-turn and started going to the highway. The moment they started speeding up, the thudding noise started again. And that's when Sugan alerted. It could be some kind of magic. Rupa took that opportunity to tell them that there is no magic, there is always logic to everything. So they started brainstorming as to what could be the problem. So they kind of figured out the thudding noise, something related to the speed of the car. And also they figured out the speed of the car when they turned into the town was good enough, but the sound stopped. So something to the wind direction as well. And that's when Rupa figured it out. Yes, it must be something to do with the flap that was hanging outside the car. And Suresh acknowledged it immediately. Yes, I think that's the reason. That could be possibly the reason. It's the flap that is similar to the photo in the top left corner on the car's windshield. Realizing that, they kind of pulled over, like kind of cut over the, like ripped up the flap, which was just making the noise and not adding anything for the movement of the car. The moment they started in, they were confident, but then when the car rolled slowly and kept moving and the noise was not there, the whole gang cheered in loud noise, which was more than the thudding noise that was heard outside. So the rest of the trip was very smooth, as how our life journey can be clearly governed by logical reasoning and emotional intelligence. Like how in the story, they moved from excitement to joy to boredom to the learning mode, and then from fear to anxiety, from relief, and then to a happy mode. Our life also plows smoothly through the logical reasoning and the emotional intelligence line, helping us navigate all the ups and downs. I hope you like the story. So I don't have a title for the story yet, nor the moral. So please feel free to, just reflect on the story, the aspects that you liked, aspects that you associated yourself to, and write about the moral and a suitable title to the story. So the floor is open for discussion. I hope you guys like the story. Thank you, Veena. Thanks. Thank you so much. Means a lot. Oh, sorry, I moved on a little quicker. Okay, so here we are discussing about the story. Any suitable title for the stories? I think that's a good place to start with. Rap and weft of logic and magic. Nice. It's rhyming, very rhyming. Nice, Priyanka. Thank you. Thanks. Logical mom. Mother patting the children in the back seat. Love, care, tenderness, emotion. Nice, nice. So you were able to connect to that, Veena? Yes, yes. Moms do that, right? Magic, ma'am. Logic, lads. Wow, nice. Shri Karuna. Nice, very nice. Nice, very nice. I keep doing this. Road trip ramblings. Yes, ramblings was the name I also kept. Nice, nice, Lakshmi. Thank you. Logical road trip. Nice. Thanks, Anusha. Nice. So were you able to connect with the story? Like some part of it that happened to you as a child, as a parent?
Yes, see, the thing is that today I think most kids are on the screen. So I don't know how many children play logical games and listen to puzzles. And yeah, but that apart, of course, it was a very interesting story. But what I'm saying is, I don't know how much of this happens today because I think the screen has really taken over our lives. So that's all that was one thing I was thinking about when I was listening to the story.
That's the association you felt. Yes, yes. Lakshmi, yes.
Ambika, I can completely resonate with this story because we love road trips, and every year in December we travel on road for a week at least. Me, myself, my husband, myself, and my daughter who is 17 years now, and we start around 3 o'clock in the morning. I was just so excited as you were, talking about the children packing and
Yes,
things. I just
I
went down
understand.
the memory lane and how do we pack? How do we see the road maps? How do we list out the things which we have to, do on the way? And getting the car serviced and sitting in the car and then starting off. But luckily, I have a daughter and she is a voracious book reader and we love listening to music. So how many hours we spend in the car, we listen to music and we keep talking. So
Nice.
it's
So
a
happy.
wonderful story. I really could resonate every bit of what you have narrated. It's wonderful. I
Thank
loved it. And I also loved the way there was no anger or, in the mom or in the dad. They were like, though the children were a little hyper or active and they were like so much, they never shouted at them. Or so they were always trying to engage them in some way or the other. That part I really loved.
Thank you, Rohini. Thank you. Means a
Thank you
lot.
so much for giving such a
Yes,
wonderful.
that's one thing that needs to be highlighted. Like children called hyper are not hyper; they are just being active. They are being whom they are supposed to be, and we have to spend time to uh, give feast to their brain, right? And puzzles and logical reasoning, talking to them, understanding, making them understand their own emotions. That's the vital part of it. Divya, you have raised your hand.
So yes, I can connect to it very easily. Recently, we had a road trip with our kids, and what we planned was a magnetic chessboard, a tic tac, and whatever that we had in a magnetic board games. Apart from that, we actually took a bed. The back seat can be converted to a bed. That setup we got it from Amazon, and we tried our best to occupy our kids, but still we failed. They ended up fighting, arguing. So, Rohini, as you said, we love to listen to music, but still, everyone's taste varies. We go back to Ilayaraja's music, and our kids come to.
Correct. There you are. There you are. There you are. Myself and my husband will listen to Ilayaraja where my daughter want all these drum beats and all. So we have timings in morning.
One song for
Timings,
them,
time
one
slots
song
there.
for
Till 9 o'clock, it's my husband's time. 11 o'clock, my daughter's time. So we have to bear and listen, whatever it is.
I think
When the
since when
Ilayaraja song is on, they have to sleep. So that's why the bed.
I'm so
I think we
happy.
went a little advanced and said, like, see, 2 minutes I listen, 2 minutes is your time, 2 minutes is her time. So, we went till that. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
think that becomes part of the. Yeah.
And I would like to add, Rupa is none other than Ambika. It's a whole personal story.
we did have that windshield incident, and that's what I converted into the story, which I thought will display the intricacies of logical reasoning and emotional intelligence. But we don't do this too much puzzles. The kids really don't agree. They want to play in their way, and we let them be. So yes. Thank you. Thanks, Veena. Thank you so much. As a mother of 13-year-old, though she loves her screen time, she loves to test me logically. Yes. Instead of questioning the kids, making them question us, that really works out. That really works out. And that's all is about emotional intelligence, right? Like just letting the other person display their emotions while you can take the back seat. And then with that emotions being drained out, I mean, not really exhausted, but when that negative emotions or bad feelings of that other person is being catered, they will obviously easily connect with you. That ability to withstand and hold and let the other person who's not yet ready to emotionally be intelligent and taking the back seat before we just bring about our thoughts. I think that's where the real emotional intelligence works there, right? So I would like to say that emotional intelligence and logical reasoning are like two sides of the coin, right? What made me feel what I feel, right? So they were bored. What made them feel bored, right? Just trying to understand, because it is very difficult for the kids to sit and listen, right? Hey, before I move on, does anyone have anything more to add to it? I just kind of flowed in with my thought. Any more
Ma'am,
thoughts?
just want to add one thing, ma'am. Nowadays, the parents. One disclaimer: I'm not married yet, so of course I don't know the parents' POV perfectly. But one thing what I came across, ma'am,
Yes.
parents are trying a lot to uh, engage the kids, saying that the kids are getting bored. But recently, I came across one very young writer. She is less than 10 years old. I'm sorry, I forget her name. So her mother, she whenever the kid got bored, she said like just let it be, just stay in that. So the mother actually normalized the boredom of like not engaging in some activity, game, puzzle, or some school work, academic work, or reading, and then just let her be. So just mother said, okay, look at the fan. Mother said, look at this. The it kind of enhanced the creativity of the kid, and now she's one of the youngest writers in India, if I believe, if I'm
Absolutely.
right, if memory serves right.
Absolutely. But as you say, right, it's easily said than done.
Yeah,
Let them, I mean, all the emotions, like, I mean, personally, my experience is like you can make them embrace every emotion except the boredom, because they ensure that they are on top of your head. But yeah, but that's the right thing, right? Embracing all the emotions that you really feel, right? And like, uh, what exactly did I do, right? When I have to, did I feel when I did that, right? Like when you did something, like what is the emotion behind it? The question can rather be, what choices should I make to feel right? Feeling right is not just being happy, just being satisfied, right? Embracing the emotion. That's exactly what we are talking about. So the logic behind the emotions and the emotion behind the logic, they are like the two sides of the coin. And it's actually time to say goodbye. I will probably open the floor for more discussions after these couple of slides. It's time to say goodbye, and Reflector here wants to suggest some toolkits and for the emotional intelligence and logical reasoning. Not just the reflector or the toolkit. I always feel journaling is something that can get more things tried. It's more like, just keeping your inner voice alive. Now, reflecting back to the original earlier story I shared about the social experiment, I feel our inner voice is something that is so beautiful, so wonderful, that we already have within ourselves. We just have to listen to it, reflect on it, and things kind of flow through it. That's my personal opinion. And journaling and emotion meter are something which helps us to keep our inner voices alive. And as with all my workshops, I would request all the participants to do the journaling of the workshop, give me feedbacks based out of that. Like you can take the rest of the minutes to just reflect and let me know what are the insights that you developed, what is that you want to share with every one of us here. Please.
I would like to share something. Hello, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am, now?
Yes, Gomati. Yes. Please.
So, one of the things which I like, actually, I liked every bit of this workshop, honestly speaking. The main thing which I like most coming from a psychology background is understanding or identifying what feeling I exactly have, what emotion I exactly feel. There was one slide where you showed a like circle of different emotions in colors, right? That is very insightful because it helps a person identify the emotion they feel, and like even if it is sad, what kind of sadness is it, because it helps them to understand and like stay in that, if I make sense, because that's where the emotional intelligence comes, right? Like that's like a base point to start with, identifying and then finding out where the trigger is, and then looking at the ways to handle the emotion. So I like that part really better. And of course, the journaling emotion meter, I can't agree. So I'm really thankful to you for this workshop, ma'am.
Thank you so much for joining in, not just Gomati, everyone. Thank you for making this, this session so eventful. Thank you. Please do share your thoughts and do take some time to journal by yourself too, and feel free to, just share it as well. I personally feel journaling kind of solves most of the things that are under our control. I would put it that way. There are many things that might not be in our control, but there are so many things that are under our control. And inner voice is kept alive by journaling. Any thoughts? If you are writing, please feel free to write and do share your thoughts. Any questions, any thoughts?
Ambika, I joined a little late. So, can you please tell me, you conduct workshops? Maybe you gave an introduction and I was not there.
Yes, I do conduct workshops. I am a technical person too. So I do technical skill training and also soft skill training. I do freelance training. Yes. I can probably share my email. So if you want to connect with it, it's also there in the website, but I'm just sharing my email if in case you want to connect with me. And case studies, it made the concepts easy to apply in daily life. Thank you, Rohini. Thank you.
I actually have a question to you and the audience, ma'am.
Yes.
Because we talked about emotional intelligence, logical reasoning, journaling and emotion meter, I understand. But I want to have your suggestions on various ways to develop the emotional intelligence for younger children.
It is a meticulous process, Gomati. It's just, according to me, it is just not with the kid providing like the factors we discussed, right? The environment and the experience that we give them, like that plays a major role. Early on, teaching them to, reflect on their thought, like, are you angry? Why are you angry for this situation? Could have you not shouted for it? Yes, embrace your angriness. Don't express it. That could hurt the other person's emotion, right? So that teaching that you constantly instill them in their mind, like early on. And I am more like a logical reasoning tutor. So I keep telling my clients that like we have a habit of I'm not sure like everybody has it, but we have a habit of scaring kids by telling them especially when feeding them, right? or like telling the kids that the crow will take your food if you don't eat it, and these kind of stories, I would personally actually, make it more logical, right? If you don't eat it, you are not going to have the nutrition you need. Maybe they don't understand it on the first time, but consistently, logically instilling the realism in them, imagination and creativity is totally different. Let's not bring that part here. But to instill the logical reasoning and the emotional intelligence, I think to give them the power to embrace their emotion, like especially when the kids are crying out of tantrums and not able to control their emotions, there is that, according to me, there would not be any part, to go tell them, why do you have to cry? No, like, what made you cry? I think that would be the better question. We have to ask the right questions and make right choices.
Exactly. This is what I wanted to ask you, Ambika, because like when I was talking about this emotional regulation, something with my daughter, she was asking like, if I'm feeling sad and I feel like crying when we are in a crowd, I stop crying because I am applying that coping mechanism that I shouldn't cry in public. So how far is this emotional regulation helping me out? When I'm sad, I want to show it off by either crying or something like that. But I when I'm in public, I have to stop crying. I shouldn't show. People might interpret it in different ways. So how does this emotional regulation help me in that situation? That is what she was asking me when I was talking to her about this.
Like, I want to give the analogy between logical reasoning and emotional intelligence at the point. Like, I think we would agree that the logical reasoning power gets by more practice, right? Like, some questions which seemed very difficult when you started doing, like, similar questions or patterns will be easier when you practice it. So that's really what it is, right? Like, first time it breaks down, you cry, like, you get better with it. And what helps is, like, you still hold on the emotions, you hold on to it, you come back to your home, you express it in your journals, you express it with the loved ones, you are supposed to express it. And as a society, we are constrained with not expressing in a, but in a bigger crowd. But then that emotional regulation comes out of practice. Like, and the journaling definitely helps, like regular journaling, or especially journaling when you feel that your emotions are not to be controlled.
Yes.
And I always feel that art and music are such wonderful gifts, which will help us regulate.
True.
So teaching them art form or a music form will stay with them. You don't have to teach them to excel in it, right? You don't want a person to learn music to put a stage performance.
Yes.
But they'll have something to go back and resonate and calm themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so
much. Thanks, Varini.
Very, very true, ma'am. That was really very well said. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
it was a wonderful session. Thank you very much, Ambika and Divya.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so much for connecting. I had a good learning in this session. Thank you, Eric, for this opportunity. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Ambika.
Thank you.